Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to get over what happened in the past? Original post. So I'm new on Reddit. For some background and context, I, 54 female, have one daughter, Ella, 28 female, with my ex, Dylan, 57 male. Dylan and I amicably divorced when Ella was only 4 years old. A few years later, I married my now husband, Jack, 55 male. He was a single dad of 2 kids, Jason, 25 male, and Sophie, 27 female. Jack and I also have a daughter, Bella, 17 female. This is about Sophie and Ella. I always thought that since they were closer in age, they would get along really well, and I was right. They were like best friends, and we were really happy in a blended family. When Ella was in college, she met this guy, Brian, 30 male, at a cafe where she worked. They started dating, and I was happy for Ella. Brian proposed to Ella in front of her whole family, and it was very romantic. Everything was fine until one day, Ella came to our house screaming at Sophie. She claims that Sophie has been sleeping with Brian. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. There was a lot of screaming until Sophie finally said that she and Brian were in love. This caused more commotion. We did have an extremely hard conversation with Sophie. She showed her remorse and was very guilty. We tried to talk to Ella, that Sophie was sad and maybe she should forgive her. That Ella was having none. She went on to more screaming and bashing all of us that we were abandoning her and picking Sophie. That is not the case. I tried to make it as peaceful as possible, but Ella didn't want that. When Ella and Brian broke up, he started dating Sophie. They got engaged within a year. Sophie wanted Ella to be her bridesmaid, but Ella just said, "over my dead body." I thought it was really cruel of her to say that, and she is being petty by holding on to past anger. Needless to say, she didn't come to the wedding. Rather, she left the city to live with her father. She didn't contact us much except for Bella. I thought she might need some time to cool off, but I was hurt that she kept us out of her life. We only got some insights from Bella and Jason. She only sends me cards on my birthday but hardly ever spoke to me. I think it was unfair. One day she came to our place. Sophie and Brian was also there. She gave us an invitation card to her wedding with someone named Ray. I don't know much about him. She didn't even include us in the wedding party. Plus the venue was a 4-hour drive and the hotels in that area is expensive. We did agree, but at the last moment, Jack got sick and I had to cancel it. When I told her the reason I cannot come to her wedding, she told me to not bother. She made the right choice by not including me in her wedding. She knew I was a bad mom. It really bothered me. I always wanted to be by her side, but the place and time she was getting married was not compatible for us. That was 2 years ago. She never contacted us again. A few weeks ago, my daughter Bella showed me a post on Instagram that Ella was pregnant. She posed with her stepmother with a caption like, "She will be a good grandmother." I was furious. How could she forget her whole family here? So I called her from Bella's phone and wanted an explanation. She replied that since I never bothered to be at her wedding, I don't deserve to be in her kid's life. She said it is not just her wedding. She claims that I never have been supportive of her, that I do not care about her. She went on to blabbing that she never felt like she had my support, even when she got cheated on and I chose my stepdaughter over her. I told her it was not fair for her to hold that against me till now because it was 6 years ago. She has moved on and Sophie has moved on as well. She is being petty by holding on to something that happened years ago. So did I do anything wrong? Edit. Look, I did not abandon Ella. I tried to be there for her. When she and Brian broke up, I went to her place to support her almost every day. I just think it's silly to hold on to something that happened years ago. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but she could have attended the wedding. Yes, I was disappointed, but if she had politely declined, I would never have thought it was cruel, and I tried my best to attend her wedding. We booked the hotel too, but Jack got really sick. We did apologize and promised to make it up to her in some way, but she rejected it. And now for my opinion for OP. Unfortunately, I think you're the a-hole in this situation. Your own daughter got cheated on and you didn't give her enough support. And I can't believe that you would even be upset with her for not wanting to be a bridesmaid in your stepdaughter's wedding. That's just ridiculous. And if you wanted to reestablish a relationship with your daughter, I would have damn sure been at her wedding, that's for sure. I would have tried anything that I could to be there. So, anyway, the best of luck to you. I hope things work out for you in the long run. You are the a-hole. What Sophie did to Ella was not petty or inconsequential. You shouldn't have supported and forgiven Sophie so easily after her act of betrayal. You're lucky Ella ever even kept in touch with you at all. How can you even ask if you're the a-hole here? It's pretty obvious, and your daughter spelled it out for you, and I think calling you an a-hole is putting it kindly. You did choose the cheater's side over your firstborn child, who was the person hurt in the situation. Then fairly quickly, you tell her to get over it. This wasn't some puppy love high school situation. They were engaged to be married, and your a-hole of a stepdaughter slept with her stepsister's fiance. This is some Jerry Springer, Jeremy Kyle shit. Then you accept the scumbag who cheated on her into your home and supported him and your stepdaughter's relationship. Your emotionally tone-deaf stepdaughter asked her to be a bridesmaid at her and her own ex's wedding, which should have been hers in the first place if they weren't such a-holes. And you think you have the right to be offended on her saying over her dead body? Let's say your sister screwed your husband and everyone took her side. How would you react? Your daughter rightfully went low to no contact for her own emotional and mental health. Offers you an olive branch to attend her wedding, and your husband gets sick, unspecified kind of sick, might I add, which means likely it wasn't life-threatening or requiring hospitalization. You were butthurt of not being involved in the wedding party, so you decide to skip her wedding and olive branch over ego. You find out after years of no contact she's pregnant and think you have the right to be involved after all that? After you repetitively put everyone else above your own child in every way? You're not only an a-hole, but a delusional and, dare I say, narcissist. I hope she sticks to her guns and stays away from you. Kudos to her for knowing she's worth so much more than the bullshit that you're parading. Why is everyone feeling, including your own, more important than hers? A-hole. You are the a-hole. You stood back and watched after your daughter's partner cheated, had a whole relationship with your stepdaughter. You were upset your daughter then didn't want to be a bridesmaid in that wedding. You didn't go to your own daughter's wedding, but happily went along to the one between her ex and stepsister. Your daughter has a new mom now, and she sounds nicer than you. Now for the update. Hi guys, this is Bella, 17 female, the half-sister of Ella. So basically I'm writing this update to clear things out. You see, this whole argument with Ella being pregnant happened 2 months ago. There have been fights and crying on my mom's part. I tried my best to explain to her that what she did was over the line and she cannot expect Ella to be okay with it after she, my mom, hurt her. My mom still insists Ella is being unfair. She thinks every other person would agree with her. Hello? So I gave her just that. I have been on Reddit for about 3 years. I have seen how people tear apart people like my mom. So I told her that she should post anonymously on Reddit about it. I did help her in the steps to make sure she includes everything, but she still left out some parts. I challenged her that nobody thinks she is right after the crap that she pulled. It's hilarious to see my mom reacting to the comments. She genuinely thought people would be on her side. She read the comments for 3 hours. You guys even PM'd her, and those were the cherry on top. Seeing how people actually see her, she literally cried her eyes out. She is still in denial and keeps saying they don't know anything. Well, she had a breakdown of how some cruel comments and PMs were. My dad came home and saw my mom crying and scolded me for airing out her dirty laundry. My mom demanded that I delete the post. Instead, I deleted the Reddit app from her phone. But now I'm writing this for you guys. I must say, Reddit doesn't disappoint. I've been reading all the comments. They are entertaining. My mom refuses to look at them. She is a lost cause, but I'm here to clear things out of it. I'm an observer of my family, so I have observed a lot of things. First of all, my mom didn't cheat with my dad, as far as I know, since some of you were suggesting the divorce with Ella's dad was amicable. But that's what I heard. My mom has this weird obsession with having twins. She always wanted twin girls, but that never happened. Since Sophie and Ella are almost the same age, my mom pretended that they were twins. I think she created this whole fantasy in her mind that Ella and Sophie will do anything together and have a matching life. And though Ella and Sophie never had bad blood, they are far from being twins. They are like normal people, but my mom still wanted the twin lifestyle for them. Also, just like you guys pointed out, Mom is the type of person who is family comes first. She wanted Ella to forgive everything and be okay with Brian and Sophie so that she, my mom, can show it off to people that in our family, we always forgive and forget, no matter how crappy the other person is. And Ella was ruining that Disney musical fantasy for my mom. My dad only cared about his bio daughters. Though he never was mean to Ella and always loved her, blood comes first to him as well. Jason pretty much doesn't give a crap. He and Sophie were not that close. Neither was Ellie and him. The only reason I showed my mom that Instagram post is so that I can show her what Ella is doing. She always asked me about her life, and I thought this would bring some form of accountability on her part. But no, as you can see, I was wrong, and I take full responsibility for it. Second thing, Mom and Dad did berate Sophie about her affair with Brian. Sophie started the waterworks saying that she will do anything to gain forgiveness from Ella. Sophie even said that she will cut all contact with Brian, but Ella was having none of it. I think my parents got manipulated by the fake waterworks of Sophie. That's why they kept pushing for forgiveness from Ella. And you guys asked what had happened to Jack, my dad. Well, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. I wasn't there because I was a bridesmaid at Ella's wedding, so I spent the whole week there in her town. Sophie and Brian were not invited. Jason was out of town too, but I still think if Mom made an effort, she could have easily made it to the wedding. She did try to say sorry and offered to pay for their honeymoon, but I don't think that is enough. I mean, it was her daughter, for goodness sake. Lastly, my mom lied. Sophie and Brian are not a happy couple, LOL. They look like they're on the brink of divorce. My mom still has no idea that Brian cheated on Sophie with a stripper at his bachelor party. Sophie forgave him because it was his bachelor party, so it doesn't count. I knew that she also cheated on him at her bachelor party too. I don't have the evidence, but I just know. Also, a month ago, Sophie decided that she would try for a baby. I am willing to bet that Brian will skip town when that happens, or he might not be the father, but we'll see. Finally, I'm sorry for dragging you guys into my family drama. I just wanted my mom to see that she is wrong. She even tried to save her ass by replying, but you guys gave her a new one. I was a little skeptical about posting here because I knew a lot of you guys would think this is fake and not give proper replies. And sorry if you felt deceived that someone else coerced OP to make a post. So I'm being clear once and for all. The first post was made by my mom. This update is being written by me, Bella, the youngest sibling, extended from OP's comments. The fact that Sophie and Brian's marriage lasted 5 years is astonishing, but it is now hanging by a thread. If anything, Sophie did Ella a favor. I always thought that guy was a bluff. Also, Ella has blocked my mom, Sophie, Brian, and Dad. Her only communication is with me and Jason. So I don't know if there will be any more drama, but even if she doesn't talk to Mom, I know she cares for her. I lied to Mom that she also blocked me after the fiasco, and besides, I will be 18 in 3 months and I am planning to move out because I'm applying to college in a different city. And about the rest of my family, well, Jason lives in his own world. Just occasional hi and hello. Like I said, they're not very close. Ella and I also talk a lot. I was sad when she left. I was the last person she talked to before she left town. Sophie tried once or twice to reach out, but not much. And Ray is a little older than Ella. He is 34, but a nice guy in my opinion. Her dad says she picked right this time. I've only met Ray a handful of times, but the way he interacts with Ella says he truly loves her and cares for her. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant wife to grow up and stop acting like she has a terminal illness? My wife has been behaving worryingly for the past few months. Since the pregnancy test came back positive, she constantly complains about her feeling terrible, banned alcohol at home because it's fair for both of us to abstain. When I try to help her with anything, she gets offended, thinking I'm treating her like she has a disability. The situation escalated when we announced to my family and my mother invited us for dinner. My wife was cold to everyone, refused anyone to touch her belly, even women. Didn't want to hear her stories or advice from anyone, basically sucked all the joy out of the atmosphere. I was willing to cut her some slack knowing that being pregnant isn't easy and hormones must be going haywire, but it's only gotten worse. Now I can't even touch her or make plans about the baby in front of her, and she told my mom she doesn't want any of us in the delivery room. My sister-in-law told me that my wife has been sharing anti-breastfeeding articles with her and gets confrontational when my sister-in-law tries to educate her on the benefits. I suggested therapy because frankly she seems out of control, but she got mad, thinking her feelings are completely normal and that I'm calling her crazy. Yesterday she told me that she plans to quit her job because she doesn't want people to see her like this, and I lost my patience. My job is good, but I want to give my son the best life possible, and I won't throw that away because she's acting irrationally. I've been around many pregnant women in my life, and none of them acted like this. My mom worked 2 jobs, managed the entire household when she was pregnant with my younger brother. I told her that pregnancy is a natural process millions of women go through, and it's not a terminal disease, but something her body is literally designed for. She got mad that I was trying to patronize her, and then I told her to grow up and start thinking about her child. Now she's sleeping in the guest room and making threats to abort the baby. Obviously, I had to back off, but was my reaction really harsh enough to justify this response? Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. Unsolicited advice and touching pregnant women's bellies without consent are both inappropriate, and I don't judge her for those boundaries at all. However, some of her comments, like wanting to hide from people seeing her pregnant, her aggression, etc., sounds worrisome, and as others have mentioned, if this is a radical change in her personality, should be assessed by her doctors. Was this a wanted or planned pregnancy? Sounds like the reaction is someone who does not feel comfortable with being pregnant. A few things here. First and foremost, you are right about hormones being all over the place, and sometimes pregnant mamas can do some very odd things. Regardless of anything, be kind, gentle, and supportive. Belly touching. Just because someone is pregnant, it does not mean their belly is open house for anyone to touch. How would you like people, family, friends, strangers wanting to randomly touch your body? You should be absolutely supporting her with this and telling your family that your wife's belly is a no-go area. Finally, your wife's behavior is somewhat out of the norm, and those raging hormones can absolutely cause extreme anxiety. Most people have heard about postnatal depression, but this also commonly happens in pregnancy and is called antenatal perinatal depression or anxiety. I believe, but can't say for certain, that perinatal psychosis might be a thing too and is very serious. It is very important that your wife get appropriate care and possibly treatment for this. I don't think you would be overstepping if you talk to your wife's primary care doctor for her pregnancy about possible antenatal perinatal mental health issues. Edit to add. Labor. Lots of people have quite rightly commented that the only person who needs to be in the room when giving birth is your wife. Labor is not some magical fairy tale moment. It is a medical event. It hurts. Your wife will be at her most vulnerable. Half naked, she will be sweaty, her hair will be a mess. She will be doing the hardest thing that she's ever done. She is at risk of labor complications, some of which could result in the death of her and or baby. Your wife is going to push a baby out through a comparatively small passage. When this happens, a lot of women will have a bowel movement because the bowel is right behind the vagina, and baby's head presses on the bowel and squeezes anything in the bowel out as well. Do you really think that she wants your family to see all of her private parts looking a mess and soiling herself? When it comes to the delivery room, you have no say whatsoever. Whatever your wife wants, she gets, and the medical staff will enforce that without questioning it. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for demanding that my teen daughter let me check her for lice before taking her to work? This just happened 2 hours ago. My daughter, 17 female, lives primarily at her dad's house. My son, 15 male, lives primarily at my house. Their dad and I live about 3 minutes drive away from each other, and our kids come and go from each house as they please. My daughter sleeps at her dad's house so that she doesn't have to share a room with her step-siblings at my house. and my son sleeps at my house so that he doesn't have to share a room with his step-sibling at his dad's house. Since we live so close, they are both at the high school and she picks her brother up for school each morning. She doesn't have her own car but currently uses one of her father's. Last night after I picked up my son from a friend's house and got him home, I received a call from my friend's parent informing me that they found lice on one of their children. I immediately checked my son to find out if he did, in fact, also have lice. He spends several afternoons and evenings hanging out with this friend each week. I do not know for how long he has had them. I did not find any lice in his step-siblings, myself, or stepfather. I'll admit I quit checking both kids for lice once they left elementary school, and the risk for getting them became less. I was beyond shocked to find out that he had them. I know this fact here may make me the a-hole. I stripped the bedding, started vacuuming, and ran to the store to pick up some lice treatment and began the process of getting rid of them. All in all, it took several hours of cleaning and picking up before I was confident that they were removed. I sent my daughter and her father a text since it was late, letting them know about our son and asked that they check her this morning just to be sure. This morning I get a message from my daughter asking me to pick her up and take her to work. There was an issue with cars, and her father needed the car she drives to get her stepbrother to baseball practice. I asked if she had been checked yet, and she said no, that it was unnecessary because she is sure she doesn't have lice. I explained that it was probably unlikely that she had them, but it was best to check through her hair just to be sure. Her response was, "No thank you, I don't care." When I arrived to pick her up for work, I asked to look through her hair. She refused and got in my car. I refused to put the car in drive to take her until she let me look through her hair. She got upset and accused me of weaponizing her job against her to get my way. I tried to explain that it will take less than a minute to verify that she has them or not, and then we can be on our way if she's in the clear. I also explained that out of respect for her coworkers and customers, we need to check just to know for sure. She told me I was being a horrible parent for potentially making her miss or be late for work over lice when she knows she doesn't have them. She continued on and also claimed I weaponized her job against her. I'm not proud of this, but I became upset and raised my voice with her. I told her that she would be the cause of being late because she is failing to comply with a very simple request. If she would just let me check, she would not be late for work or miss work at all if she did not have them. With tears in her eyes, she reluctantly agreed. After a check through her hair, it was confirmed that she did not have lice. We left and she arrived to work 15 minutes early. She is insanely upset with me. I do realize as a teen how embarrassing finding lice would be. Her brother is dealing with that embarrassment himself. I'm sure her reaction was due to this potential embarrassment. But it's better to know and to get the problem dealt with than not know and risk spreading it to others. So I'm asking, am I the a-hole for refusing to drive her to work until she allowed me to check her hair for lice? Update. I just picked her up from work and I apologize for not telling her before I got there that checking her head would be the condition of me taking her. I told her while dropping it on her at the last minute was not okay. It was still something that needed to be done. She and we both had calmed down a lot since this morning. She told me that she would have willingly allowed me to check her head after she finished work, but she knew if she allowed me to check her head before and found something, I wouldn't let her go to work. She wasn't on the schedule yesterday since she had cheer. She said that she wasn't willing to miss work today if in fact she had lice. Long story short, she was being very selfish by only thinking of herself. I did follow up and try to explain why that isn't right, and that sometimes you have to think about others. She didn't want to hear it. It sounds like we're going to need more conversations around respect for others in the near future. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.